Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Nick. Today I'm going to talk to you about a tune that I wrote in... Hey, what's up everyone? This is Nick. Today I'm going to talk to you about a tune I wrote entitled Gaslight using some of the reharmonization techniques I talked about last week. If so far you've liked the content I've been posting, please consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so that way you can be updated every time I post a new video. This tune, Gaslight, is actually based on the tune entitled Stella by Starlight. Now for this tune, what I did was mostly modal interchange, what I talked about in my video last week about reharmonization, except now I'm using the modes of Melodic Minor. So just a quick review on Melodic Minor. We have 7 modes of Melodic Minor, and there are a few different ways people refer to them as. I'm going to refer to them the way I normally do, but if you call them a different way, it's not necessarily wrong. It's just a different interpretation. So we have 7 modes of Melodic Minor. We have Ionian Flat 3 or Melodic Minor, Phrygian Natural 6, Lydian Sharp 5 or Lydian Augmented, Lydian Dominant, Mixolydian Flat 6, Aeolian Natural 9, and Altered, some people call it Superlocrian, or some people call it Ionian Sharp 1. Leave a comment if you'd like me to make a video explaining the melodic minor modes. So this gives us a couple new chords to work with. Our first mode, Ionian Flat 3, we have minor major 7th chord. Our second mode, we have Phrygian Natural 6, which is kind of like an altered sus chord. Our third chord is Lydian Augmented, which gives us a major 7 sharp 5 chord, with also sharp 11. Then we have Lydian Dominant, which is a dominant chord with a sharp 4. We have Mixolydian Flat 6, which has kind of an altered taste, but however, it has a natural 9 in addition to the flat 6. So it's not quite as out as... Then we have Aeolian Flat 5 or Locrian Natural 9, which gives us a half diminished chord. And then we have our Super Locrian or Ionian Sharp 1 or our altered chord. So when I was creating this arrangement of Gaslight, basically what I did was reference the melodic minor parent scales of every chord. I also want to note that I'm going to be using the standard real book changes, which doesn't technically mean that that's the correct version. There are many versions out there. Guitarist Mike Moreno has a great series on the original changes, so I definitely recommend checking it out. For the purpose of this demonstration, I only use the real book changes. I'm going to play you the first few bars of Gaslight. So if our first chord is E half diminished, we can play G melodic minor over that. So now to demonstrate what that sounds like, I'm going to use my handy Electro-Harmonix Superego to hold out the root notes of the chord while playing the melodic minor upper structures. So I played a G minor major 7 over just an E bass note. So as you can see, it still sounds like half diminished chord. What happens if we take the parent chord of the melodic minor scale and only play that as a triad? So instead of this chord, we now have... Our next chord is an A7 altered chord. So I'm going to use the B flat melodic minor parent scale. If we only use the triad from the parent chord, we get this sound. So if we take our first 2 chords, instead of, we now have quite a different sound, but it's still related. The next chord is C minor. So the melodic parent scale would just be C melodic minor. And the parent triad would just be C minor. For the sake of this, I used an inversion to create a contrasting bass line. So far we have... Then our next chord we have an F dominant 7. I decided to make that altered. To make that altered, we use F sharp melodic minor as our parent scale. So then our next chord becomes F minor. So we go down from F sharp Now here in this melody, I elongated the F sharp to create more tension. The next chord is the B flat 7th chord, where I used B melodic minor to make it altered. And so on and so forth. I did this whole process for the whole tune, and then I switched little things up a little bit. So now I'm going to talk about some of the compositional choices I chose. When I first played this chord progression, I thought it would be cool to have like like kind of a dreamscape arpeggio thing going on. So I just began arpeggiating and arbitrarily choosing melody notes that I thought would sound good. So at this moment, I decided to elongate that chord, make it 2 bars, and invert it to give it a little bit more motion before going into the next chord. And the way I'm voicing it, I'm playing the 5th, the flat 3rd, the root, and then the root again, actually. It's what I like to call guitar false fingering. The reason I did that is because our next chord is F minor, and the melody goes from F sharp to G sharp. So we have this contrary motion. So both F sharps went up. Both F sharps went up and down at the same time. Another thing I'm doing too is taking notes outside of melodic minor. So now I'm just thinking of the triads. I'm not thinking about melodic minor anymore. I'm just taking the triads as is. And now we have all the worlds of modes at our disposal. If you notice when I play this F sharp minor, I added in a flat 6, which isn't normally in melodic minor. For melodic minor, it normally has a natural 13. I did the same thing when I arrived at B minor. But for this next chord over C minor, I respected the melodic minor. Same thing for this E flat over here. Over the G minor, I used the flat 6 again. So between the end of the A section and the B section, what I did was actually manipulate the form a little bit. B flat major 7 and E half diminished actually share the same melodic minor parent scale, which allowed me to sustain this melody while still retaining the form. And now I'm in the E half diminished. And now we're going to A7 altered, where I can then hang on the B flat minor. And then here with the D minor 7, I decided to invert it in order to get this half step motion in the bass. So you get boom, boom. And the 5th of B flat minor, which is F, stays the same because now it's become the 3rd of D minor. So then we have our 2-5, we have our B flat minor at E flat 7, which I decided to keep all of them as melodic minor. So the B flat minor becomes B flat melodic minor, and the E flat 7 becomes Lydian dominant because I'm still using B flat melodic minor. And then we're back at D minor over A, because D minor is the parent melodic minor scale of F major 7. We're now making it an F major 7 sharp 5. Changing the infrastructure up a little bit again, but it still works. So then we have our 2-5, we have E half diminished to A7, which ends up being G minor and B flat melodic minor. I decided to invert it to get the whole step bass line. The whole time I'm thinking about really using inversions to create interesting bass lines, so you have an interesting melody, interesting harmony, and interesting counter melody. Then it goes to C minor 7 over G, which is a little different from C melodic minor, since C melodic minor has a major 7th, but I thought the B flat melody note on top of the C worked really well here from where we came from. So this chord is coming from A half diminished, which comes from C melodic minor, and then we have our D7 altered, which becomes E flat melodic minor, which I inverted to E flat minor over G flat. We end up with this bass line. unexpected and it's a little dramatic. The next part of the tune is a big G7 altered chord. We're in the bridge now. So this part I decided to mess with it a little bit. As you can see, there's a few 2/4 bars. So now instead of 8 beats total, there's 12, so I essentially added another measure, but displaced the feel a little bit. I have A flat minor, B flat minor, and B augmented. So those all come from A flat melodic minor, which is a parent scale of G7 altered. So what I'm doing there is literally going up the scale in open triads. And then next I go to C minor flat 6. I didn't change up this chord much, but I did add some extensions and intricacies within the voicing. So we have an ostinato line in the bottom going. I just thought the half step sounded really cool. Very jazzy. Change it up there. So now, for this voicing, I basically just inverted it, leaving me with this really uncomfortable stretch. Basically, I have G, A flat, E flat, and then C on top, instead of this. If you've watched my video on open triad inversion, this is one of the techniques I did with open triads, but you can also do it with other chords. This one's a 4-note voicing. Curiously enough, I'm playing an A flat major open triad with a G on the bottom. So then the last chord in the bridge, A flat 7 sharp 11, or Lydian dominant. We know that that's from E flat melodic minor. I decided to use E flat second inversion with the B flat on the bottom just for voicing purposes. So now we have a major 6 in the bass line. We have and then we have A Lydian, which doesn't really fit anywhere within the melodic minor because I just kind of added it there arbitrarily. I just really liked how that sounded. That's what my ear was telling me to do. So for a second I abandoned this technique in favor of musicality, which I think worked out. So our last 8 bars I followed kind of strictly in the sense that I did not manipulate the form or the chords. So now we have F minor flat 6 because D half diminished is a chord, so F melodic minor is a parent scale. I use the same voicing I used for the C minor flat 6. So there I'm using A flat melodic minor, which is the parent scale of G7 altered. But now I inverted it using second inversions of the E flats on the bottom, and I added this 4. And I'm doing a bar to reach that. So then our next chord is C half diminished, which comes from E flat melodic minor. So I call back to the E flat minor over B flat chord that I used before. But this time, instead of using the G flat on top and then going down to the F, I did the opposite. I did F, A flat. Our next chord is F altered, which is from F sharp melodic minor. And this time I respected the melodic minor's natural 6. I felt like it had kind of a mysterious, unresolved sounding, like what's gonna happen. Of course, I hate happy endings, so naturally I ended on a minor chord. So that's how I created a brand new tune from a pre-existing tune using reharmonization and by making a contrafact. Now for the melody of this, I kind of actually just let the melody come to me. I basically completely just used my ear and was playing whatever I was hearing on top and just experimenting with different notes on the top. I used the reharmonization as a source of inspiration. I had a great teacher once who told me harmony is actually just multiple moving melodies at the same time. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Within harmony, there's so much melody involved that I think with our really interesting harmony, it's kind of a disservice not to have a fitting melody. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, please leave a question in the comment. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe so I can continue making these videos.